Well, hello everybody. David Mitchell again. It's time for the June Mayor's Monthly. It's hard to believe that we've already made it into summer. So let me just give you a quick overview of what we're going to talk about today. I want to give you a little bit of an overview or sort of a promotional talk about what's been going on in Columbiana. All June, we're going to have Music on Main and Farmers Market on Fridays on Main Street. We had the first one this past Friday. It was a great success. I hope everybody gets an opportunity to come out for that this Friday and every Friday in the month of June. Later this month, Wednesday, the 14th of June, is Flag Day. So the May, June, July 4th timeframe is an important time for Columbiana with Memorial Day, Flag Day, and later on Liberty Day. And that comes up June 23rd and 24th. And Allie Payne, who pretty much runs the show when it comes to Liberty Day, amongst other things, I'm going to let her talk to you about what's going on for Liberty Day. And then we're going to get into what's been primarily the reason why I'm doing this, and that's to address citizen questions and concerns and share them with everybody else. So, because I assume what concerns some people concerns many people. And so the topics today, the question was asked about how to get access to the city budget and financial data. There was a concern expressed about the Shelby County Humane Society. A question asked about what we're doing to bring new business into Columbiana. Concern about enforcement of our nuisance ordinance. And just yesterday, a concern raised about the Columbiana Water Board. That's still under investigation. I won't have a lot to say about that, but I will tell you just a little bit about the process between the city and the relationship between the city and the Water Board. So without further ado, we'll get started, and Allie's going to come on board and talk to you about Liberty Day.
Hi, I'm Allie Payne, and I am going to talk about Liberty Day today. So Liberty Day kicks off on Friday, June 23rd, with food trucks opening at 5 and Big City Rhythm starting at 7 o'clock Friday night. On Saturday, we have a full day of activities, including food trucks and vendors. We have bands on 3 different stages, a 5K run, a car show, kids activities that will all be free this year thanks to Shelby County Juvenile Court, and a parade down Main Street. We will end Saturday night with a fireworks show at the Shelby County High School Stadium. So we have lots of bands Saturday of Liberty Day. At 10 o'clock, Jason Grubbs on the Main Street stage. At 11, we have Daniel Bowen on the Hero stage in Old Mill Square Park. At 1 is Will Stewart on the Hero stage. At 1:30, Lady Couch performs on the Main Street stage. And then on Saturday night at 6, we have a boy named Banjo who performs at the Shelby County High School Stadium. And then our headliner band this year is Landco, and they will perform at 8 at the stadium. We can't wait to see you guys for Liberty Day. It's going to be a great year.
Okay, thanks a lot, Allie. So a lot of great things going to be happening on Liberty Day, and it takes months of preparation and hard work to get all that stuff put together, and Allie does just a superb job of that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to what the purpose of this monthly video really is all about, and that's to address citizen questions and concerns. And we'll start right off with the first one. Some of these questions, by the way, may be several weeks old. We did a Memorial Day special video last month, so we didn't present some of the questions we had, so I've saved them till June, and so we've got a few, and I'll try to go ahead and address those. So the first question was, where can I find fiscal year 2023 budget information? Well, the short answer is that it's on the city website, but there's more to the story because I went looking around, double checking to make sure it was there, and guess what? It wasn't there. So we fixed that. I can give you lots of excuses to what happened and why it wasn't there, but we fixed that. And so if you go to our website, let me tell you what you'll find. You're going to find on there a summary of our current fiscal year budget that was adopted by the City Council. You're going to find our monthly budget reports for the current fiscal year. You'll see 2. You'll see one for the general fund and one for proprietary funds. Essentially, the general fund is our operating budget, and we have several proprietary funds such as the cemetery, the court, the sewer, gas taxes, capital improvement fund that we get money from the state. we have to manage that money separately than we do from our general fund. You're going to see our most recent audit report on the website, and you're going to see something that I'm required to do twice a year, and that's the mayor's semi-annual financial report to the city council. I do that in March, or at the end of March, actually presented in April. I take the data from the end of March for the first 6 months of the fiscal year, which runs from October of the prior year to September of the current year. And then my second report would be in early October of this year, and that would go from April to September of this year. So let me just kind of show you what all that looks like if you go to our website as far as what you're going to find. Apologize, it's kind of a busy chart, but on the left, that's just a summary of the budget that was approved by the City Council in September of last year. That was the fiscal year 2023 budget. At the top, you can see the monthly budget report, just the first page. There's 17 pages, and this has all the detail, line item by line item, of the budget for the general fund, all the various departments of the city. It'll show you what the budget was for the current month, what they actually spent the current month, and then it's got the year-to-date information against the entire year's budget. Beneath that, you'll see the monthly budget report for the proprietary funds. This is just the first of 7 pages on here, and you can see it starts with the state gas taxes and goes on from there. At the top here, you can see just a sample of what the first page of the mayor's semi-annual financial condition statement to the city council looks like. And then at the bottom is just the cover page of our fiscal year 2021 audit. The fiscal year 22 audit is being finalized right now, and it should be available soon. So that's what you will find when you go to our website to look for our financial data. Now, where are you going to find it on our website? So let me just kind of walk you through that. So kind of 4 steps. So start with the Columbiana website homepage. You can see the link there. The second step is when you get to the homepage, up at the top, you'll see some little tabs up there, and you can highlight those with your cursor or click on those, and a drop-down menu is going to pop into view. And so on that drop-down menu under Department Services, go over to the left to Administration and click on that. And that's going to take you to step 3, and that's going to take you to the Administration Department's page. And you can see on the left of that page, there's another menu, and I've circled there in red where is the financial information. You click on that, that'll take you to the financial information page. Another menu there, and you can see all of those various reports that I just showed you. So that's how you can find it. We fixed the problem. It is there now. I've double checked it, so we should be good to go as far as that's concerned. Okay, so the next question and concern that we had was the Shelby County Humane Society is actively neglecting animal medical needs. I want to know what is being done about this. Well, as mayor, the easy solution for me to say that's a Shelby County problem, it's not my problem, and ignore it. But anything that goes on in Columbiana, I feel like is something that if somebody expresses a concern about it, it's of interest to me and it's of interest to others in Shelby County. So what you see on this chart is the bullets on the left are excerpts from the email that I sent to the individual who expressed this concern. And it shows you what it's excerpts from my reply to them. A couple things I wanted to talk about to start with. So the allegation is pretty serious, where it says they're actively neglecting animal medical needs. Now, neglecting means that there's a failure to provide care or to provide normal and ordinary attention or service to these animals, and then actively implies that they're doing it on purpose. So that's pretty harsh, so it got my attention. So I contacted the president of the Shelby County Humane Society, the president of the board, and I got a very, very quick response. That's the good news. And the board president put me in touch with their new executive director, Sandra Ivy, who called me and we had a great conversation. And there's a lot to unpack in this, and I can't go into all the details. It would just take too much time. But the long story short is that the puppies were provided medication on Saturday. The complaint was lodged on Saturday, and the puppies were provided medication on Saturday by the Humane Society. And by Sunday, the puppies were, I was told, doing much, much better. Now, I also asked the individual who sent me the concern to please let me know if that was not correct, and I didn't hear a response from them, so I'm assuming that they were doing better. Now, the executive director did acknowledge that the situation could have been handled better, and she was working hard to resolve some of those systemic issues at the shelter. And I don't want to make excuses for them, but the facility is overcrowded, it's understaffed, and it's underfunded. And this individual basically had fostered and taken these two puppies home to care for these animals. So, this individual who expressed the concern, stepped up to the plate, and we need more people like them to step up to the plate to help the Humane Society. So, what you can do to help the Humane Society is go to their website, shelbyhumane.org, and of course, first and foremost, you could adopt an animal. It's much cheaper to adopt adult animals than it is pets or puppies and kittens. But nevertheless, you can adopt an animal, and that's certainly going to help deal with the overcrowding situation. You can donate money. It is a nonprofit organization, and they depend a lot not only on funds from the county and other donors, but individuals like you. Like the person who expressed this concern, you can adopt an animal, or foster an animal for the weekend or a longer period of time. And again, that helps relieve the burden. Or you can volunteer to work at the Humane Society. Again, go to the website there, and it'll tell you all the ways that you can help out. And I appreciate people letting me know about these concerns, and I appreciate the rapid response that I got from the Shelby County Humane Society in addressing this concern. Okay, so the next question came up. It says, has there been any thought to bringing more businesses to town like Starbucks or Dunkin'? And again, first bullet here, a cut and paste from my email back to the individual who asked the question. And it's a great question. And the answer is absolutely yes. There's been a great deal of thought and effort. And it's a very, very extensive reply, and it can be a little bit complicated, but I'm going to try to narrow it down to its basics. Now, me, like every mayor probably in the state of Alabama, is very concerned about economic development in their communities. And the buzz phrase that I've always used from the time I was campaigning for mayor until today is that in Columbiana, we need sustained and manageable economic growth. Sustained meaning that we want it to be occurring all the time, year after year. But we need to manage economic growth just like we need to manage physical growth, because two things go hand in hand. It's almost a chicken and egg scenario. But let me go back to this specific question. The questioner asked about Starbucks or Dunkin'. So my assumption was this is somebody looking for a great cup of coffee. And the first thing I did, which is Rule 101 for economic development, is support your existing businesses. And I let the questioner know that we have great places right here in Columbiana where you can get a good cup of coffee. Leader's Corner Coffee and Tea, Hometown Nutrition. And one of the things in doing a little research that I learned is that the largest seller of coffee in the United States is McDonald's. So get a cup of coffee at McDonald's, and many, many other places around town where you can get a good cup of coffee. But why wouldn't Starbucks or Dunkin' come to Columbiana? Why wouldn't we be able to get those? Well, certain large franchises and chains like Starbucks and Dunkin' have very specific criteria about where they will locate a store. They look at population density, they look at population growth, they look at traffic, they look at median household income, and they look at age demographics. And those are strict criteria for determining where they want to put one of their stores. And as far as Starbucks and Dunkin', Columbiana doesn't meet any of the criteria that they've got set up. whether it's population, whether it's density, traffic, the median income, or age. So what we have to do is look for alternative solutions, and I just gave you a couple when it comes to getting a good cup of coffee. So what else are we doing to bring business in? Well, Shelby County is fortunate to have its own economic development corporation, or we're fortunate that Shelby County has that, and it's called 58 Inc. I encourage you, if you're not familiar with 58 Inc., to Google them, go look at their website, and you can see community profiles for all the communities in Shelby County, available properties that are out there, and all the things that they're helping to do to market our city to prospective new businesses. 58 Inc.'s executive director, Amy Sturdivant, also participated in something I'm going to talk about here in just a minute, and that's the recreation economy for rural communities. In fact, one of the action items that we have for Columbiana, she has taken the lead on that. So 58 Inc. does a great deal for us and a great deal for Shelby County as well. And in fact, 58 Inc. introduced us to the next item on this list, and that's Orchestra Partners, which is an urban development planning and consulting firm. And Orchestra Partners, the city of Columbiana has actually entered into a recent engagement agreement with Orchestra Partners, and they're going to do some urban planning for Columbiana. And the great thing about them is economic development requires money. Sometimes you've got to have some skin in the game. Small communities like Columbiana oftentimes don't have a lot of that skin to put in the game. So one of the benefits, or one of the services that Orchestra Partners has, is they help us develop a seed fund for investors to come in and help us make investments in our community. Our city also was selected to participate. We certainly applied for it, but we were selected to participate last year in the first ever Economic Development Academy hosted by the Alabama League of Municipalities. A great program, the ALM Economic Development Academy. We were able to learn from experts about municipal and community economic development. We were able to share stories with similar sized communities, and also learned that we were able to find network linkages around the state and in the nation that can help us with economic development. So the city of Columbiana was very active in that. The other thing that we did is we applied for a grant, Recreation Economy for Rural Communities. I've talked about this before, so real quick, the RERC was a planning grant, and it was a planning grant to help communities with historic main streets like Columbiana have economic development that is based on their history, their culture, and leveraging outdoor recreation activities. So our plan was to connect southern Shelby County, because northern Shelby County and southern Shelby County are vastly different, all the way from Lay Lake to Calera. So Lay Lake, Lay Lake to Montevallo. So Lay Lake, Columbiana, Calera, Montevallo. All three of those communities participated in the process. We just got the plan completed. It's long-term. There's some pretty exciting things on there. We're going to get that plan posted on the website so everybody can see it. And we'll be looking and asking and hoping that folks will want to help us implement those plans. We also recently passed an ordinance, which was the Columbiana Live Arts and Entertainment District, again, hoping to stimulate people to come out to our business district and our main street and facilitate traffic to help the businesses in the district. And we really saw firsthand the benefits of that at the Music on Main event this last Friday night. It's the first time we've had a big event like that, and it was just absolutely packed. And I think the Columbiana Live Entertainment District helped a lot with that. Other things is we're a Main Street community, so Main Street Columbiana is involved. They're the ones that actually organize and manage the farmers market that we had in conjunction with Music on Main. And then we're trying to leverage the huge investment that was made for the purposes of economic development in the Old Mill Square. Old Mill Square's major tenant, of course, is the Shelby County Arts Center, but there's so much more to that, such as the Grand Hall, the amphitheater, the colonnade, the park, etc. So there's a lot going on in Columbiana, and we're not done yet. So yes is the short answer to your question. We're doing things to try to bring business in here. And we've recently brought in a new restaurant, and we've got another one on the way, and so again, many good things coming. Okay, so the next one is less of a question and more of a complaint. And so the individual wrote, I'm writing to formally file a complaint regarding my neighbor's noncompliance of city ordinances. So this individual did their homework. They looked up on our website. You can find all of our city ordinances. They're codified. So when you go to the ordinance page, there's a search block up there, and you can type in something like nuisance, and boom, everything will pop up for you. So the specific ordinance that he was looking at relative to nuisances basically says that it's the duty of the owner to maintain the property. Now, in legal terms in Alabama, the owner is also and the occupant of the property are considered one and the same. So the owner or the occupant. And the big concern here was about the neighbor's grass not being cut, trash in the yard, etc. And you can see that part of the nuisance ordinance includes overgrown with weeds or grass, such as to constitute a nuisance. And then if people don't fix it, then a weed nuisance can be declared a public nuisance by the governing body, that's the city council, and thereafter abated at the cost of the owner. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about abatement and this cost of the owner thing. The ordinance goes on to talk about scrap and junk being nuisances, and then in the person's yard. I mean, if you're a scrap or a junk a yard or vendor or something like that, and you have a license, it's a different story. But if you scrap or junk, and it defines what that is, in a residential area, then that could be considered a nuisance as well. And the responsibility to enforce the nuisance ordinance rests with the chief of police. So now sort of let me give you the disclaimer here. Cities have a very, very wide latitude as to how they enforce an ordinance. So in general, if somebody want to complain or sue or whatever about a city not enforcing an ordinance, in general, the courts do not intervene unless fraud or discrimination may exist. And then city officials, such as the city council, myself, the police chief in this case, would also be immune relative to decisions as to whether or not to prosecute an ordinance violation. But the philosophy that we try to adopt here in Columbiana is that ordinances exist for a reason, and city officials are bestowed a trust to enforce them. So let me tell you what we did in this case. We got the complaint. The police chief went to the resident and spoke to the resident and asked them to clean up the property. He doesn't walk out there right off the bat and give them a citation. He gives them an opportunity to cure the problem. And in this case, some progress was made. Now, you could argue that over time, maybe there's been some backsliding. They cut the grass grew back, things of that nature, but progress was made. And the police chief has been continuing to follow up with this particular resident and occupant of this house. And if he feels like that sufficient progress is not being made or sustained reasonably, then it will result in a citation. And he has given that information to the occupant of the house. And then some weeks later, after the citation is issued, the individual would have to make an appearance in municipal court. The judge would hear the case. Most likely, what's going to happen is the judge is going to go right back to this individual and say, you got 30 days to clean it up. Come back and see me again, and we'll talk about it and see where you are. So it can be a lengthy process. And so if you and I have no issues with people expressing concern about real or perceived nuisances. Let us go investigate it. I guess the message I'm trying to send, it's not an instantaneous process here. So let's talk about abatement. Abatement is a very last resort, and it is a complex legal process. And so you can see in the ordinance where it says that if the governing body, the city council, approves an abatement, it will be done at the cost of the owner. Well, yes and no. So what happens is the city would go out and clean up the property after an abatement process was completed, and then the city would assess the property owner. And most likely, the property owner would not pay, and the city would then put a lien on the property, and the city would not probably ever see that money unless the property were sold. And so, once again, the abatement process is very expensive. There's a legal cost. We've just gone through an abatement of 7 properties. We had 3 of the properties that cured themselves, 4 that did not, and the city is in the process of demolishing that property at a significant expense. So we have to be very, very judicious at the use of city funds to say we're going to go abate a problem or nuisance with a property because of the cost involved. And then also, we want to give people an opportunity to cure the problem. So that's the situation here. This one is ongoing. I would say it's probably, it may never be resolved, but hopefully it will. In some respects, it's a dispute between neighbors, but nevertheless, I think the ordinance was violated and the city has been working with this individual to try to rectify it. Okay, so the last issue, I received this complaint yesterday against the Columbiana Water Board. And today is June the 5th, so June the 4th, by the time you see this, it may be days or weeks. So all I can tell you is that I am investigating the complaint that was raised. Now, I do want to let people know that the Columbiana Water Board is a separately incorporated legal entity and is not directly part of the city of Columbiana. I really don't have any day-to-day control over them, neither does the city council. With one exception, the board members of the Columbiana Water Board are appointed by the city council. Now, you might think we could just willy-nilly remove them on a whim, but the state says no. They are put there for a specific term. They serve out their terms supposedly without interference from the city leadership so that they maintain their autonomy and their independence without influence from elected city leaders, if you will, who might come and go during their terms. But if they were, again, if there was fraud, discrimination, illegal activity, there is an impeachment process. Very complicated process, again, where they could be removed. But in general, they're appointed by the city council, and once they're there, they're there. Now, a lot of people think we're all together because you get a water bill, and it says Columbiana Water Board on it. That water bill is going to have on there a fee for your water, but it's also going to have a fee for your sewer and your garbage billing on it. The city of Columbiana has an agreement with the Columbiana Water Board where we actually pay them to do that billing for us. So your sewer billing, your sewer fee is based on water consumption, and then the garbage fee is just kind of tacked on there again for convenience for the city. But we do actually pay the Columbiana Water Board to do that billing for us. And again, that keeps the independence of the water board from the city of Columbiana. So I'm still going to be investigating this. I'll be talking to the leadership at the water board to try to understand what's going on, there's always 2 sides to every story, try to get both sides of the story. And then based upon what I learn, I'll discuss it with the members of the water board, and hopefully we'll get this thing resolved, and I'll give you an update in the next Mayor's Monthly. All right, so that's it for June. So keep those cards and letters coming in. If you got any questions or comments, go to the website, and we'll certainly be happy to look into them. Have a great month.